pretty good sized hole in that front skirt along the front of that AT car. You don't want that when aerodynamics and drafting is so important. So the crew's going to go ahead and take that bare bond tape and put it on the front nose of the 18 and make sure that it's as aerodynamically sound.
Because right now the lights have flashed off on the base car. The field just got the 1 to go signal. Next time around, we'll go back to green flag racing.
So the field already working up in turn 2. William Sawalek still sitting as patiently as he can on the pit lane. Work complete. It looks like he will indeed be able to catch up to the tail of the field before we go green. The green flag is going to come out next time through.
Spinning down to the bottom of the racetrack, and that's going to put us back under the caution flag here. Can't get an idea exactly which car it is. It's in a precarious position, Mike, with a big plume of smoke. The back of the car sits on the banking. The rest of it, it looks like it's going to be the car Brayton Laster. Brayton Laster, the driver involved, just at the entrance to turn 1 as the smoke begins to clear down there. Back of the car sits on the 31 degrees. The banking, the front is on the flat apron, and that car has the rear wheels lifted off the ground, Mike, and we're under caution again.
Just like that, we go back under the caution flag. Lap 24. If you're just tuning in, we had a crash at lap 4, had another one at lap 12, had another one at lap 18, and we have a shoulder spin in turn 1. Right-hand turn, but it was in the middle of the short chute.
Yeah, and nobody was directly on the back bumper. He had a car length or two between the next car and here. That's something very awkward. It looked like some sort of a mechanical failure on that race car to make him do a right-hand turn. Something I can't imagine. You're coming up to speed. At that point on the track, they're running 140, maybe 145 miles an hour, and the car decides it's going to make a 90-degree right-hand turn all by itself.
And that'll bring us under the 4th caution as work continues down in turn 1 to clear the Brayton Laster machine. Want to keep you just aware of some of those things that are taking place back in the midway area, because we've got some great driver appearances stacked up throughout the afternoon. And inside Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone at 1:45 today, Bubba Wallace will be down there. Bubba Wallace, who scored the victory in the duel at Daytona, race number 1 on Thursday night. So Bubba Wallace will be down inside Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone at 1:45. We've got plenty of entertainment both on the main stage inside the fan zone and on the midway throughout the day today. So make sure you check out all of those experiences.
I'm about to fucking come down. Hell, we're only 25 laps into this race because they won't fucking quit wrecking.
ARCA Series ride the Dente 200 conclude, we will have final practice for the NASCAR Cup Series. And
No, I'm not coming down yet, but damn.
Annual running of the Daytona 500. That begins at 3:05, and then roughly right around 5:15 later on this afternoon, we will have the NASCAR Xfinity Series will kick off their 2025 season. And again, as we mentioned earlier, Justin Allgaier and Taylor Gray will lead the field to green in that one after qualifying got canceled earlier today due to rain in the area and rain on the racetrack. So still some exciting racing left to go here today.
And it all builds up to tomorrow's Daytona 500. It's an event like no other. Some of you have been coming to the Daytona 500 for years. Some of you, it'll be your first time at the Great American Race. The United States Air Force Thunderbirds, we were talking with them earlier in the day today, had an opportunity to meet with those men and women that make up the United States Air Force Thunderbird as they continue to prepare for their pre-race show as part of the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Pitbull playing the pre-race concert, and the Wood family will be throwing the green flag tomorrow for the Great American Race. It all builds up to one of the most prestigious stock car, the most prestigious stock car race, with $30 million on the line for all the drivers and teams competing in the race tomorrow.
Yeah, and also one thing to keep in mind too, all those great announcements and activities and pre-race festivities will still take place, but due to the threat of inclement weather that will maybe roll through the area later on tomorrow in the afternoon, the race and start time for the Great American Race Daytona 500 has been moved up an hour, so it'll go green roughly around 2 p.m. tomorrow, not the original slated scheduling time of roughly around 3 p.m.
So the hours moved up. There's the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, those F-16 Fighting Falcons.
Yeah, we ain't gonna get to watch the end of this
leave the
race.
Daytona Beach Airport here, and you might get a chance to see a couple of them take off here before long, and they will fly some pre-race routines while they get ready for the show tomorrow. They've been practicing. They've gotten here Wednesday and got everything all set up. The last couple of days have been pretty busy. Pit road is open. Green light indicating pit road. Send it over to the Motor Racing Network.
Man, it's busy. That's almost
I'm not putting on the scanner, I just
racing fuel to that car and just kind of getting off sequence. Get this pit stop out of the way while we have this caution period. Cole Reyes has been running inside the top 10 as well. The West Coaster from Oregon, who's rolling back into the speedway now. Once we go back to green, or once we go back on the racetrack, save fuel, they can make it to the end of the race. Not sure how much further than that they can make it, but right now it is a fuel strategy and get this pit stop done and then get that track position after that midway
you can
break.
listen to MRN.
Going down cars, I'm not sure track position
We're
might
gonna
be a
be having to go
relative
back
term
down in
with
like
the short
20
field that
minutes.
we're left with here at this point in the race.
Why are you even getting this out there? So we can
So
talk
pit
to each
stop
other?
still ongoing for a few on the pit road. And Joe, during that pit sequence right there, you saw Isabella Robusto. She was being attended to on the front end of that machine. So she looks like she's got some damage. And if you look now on NASCAR TV, you can see one of those Thunderbirds taking off, and you can look across the back straightaway and see it now in person, live action, taking off right now. Hopefully from the sight to see.
You can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it. And look at that. Skyward, the power of the United States Air Force heading to the clouds here in Daytona, and off they go. Unbelievable, and that is just a little sample of what we're going to see and hear tomorrow at the Daytona 500. That are 6 strong going to love it. We're excited to have you here as part of Speed Weeks presented by Advent Health.
I say, get that damn 69 car off the racetrack. Get that 69 car off the racetrack.
So lights remain on that race car right now, so still going to have to wait at least one more pace lap after this one before we turn loose again into racing. Most recent cycle of pit stops, there were a couple of drivers that stayed out. Most of the field came down pit road, but Joe, we're going to see some
certainly looks a lot different. Some of these cars were on pit road earlier on, but with the cautions, they were able to cycle back around. Bryce Hoggenberg in the 06 being shown as the race leader. Louisiana's Brian Doza will sit second. Ryan Roulette, Scott Melton, Hunter DeChautel will be the top 5 as we are set to re-rack them here. Just waiting for the one to go signal on top of the flag stand before we can fire them loose here one more time. And we alluded to some of the storylines and the excitement leading into the Daytona 500. How about the 8 car for Kyle Busch? 20 years he's been trying to win the Daytona 500. If you've been around NASCAR and Daytona for a while, you would have heard 20 years of trying when Dale Earnhardt Sr. won his Daytona 500 back in 1998. They drive for the same team, Richard Childress Racing. Could this year be the year for Kyle Busch to win the Daytona 500 in his 20th attempt?
Yeah, it certainly could be. He's looked pretty quick all Speed Weeks here presented by Advent Health. So Kyle Busch in Mobil 1 victory lane at the end of the day tomorrow would not be surprising. A couple of other big names in the field that are still searching for their first Daytona 500 championship. You know, Brad Keselowski comes to the top of the list in my mind. Ryan Blaney, a couple of really good super speedway racers that have yet to find victory lane for the Daytona 500.
And then Chase Briscoe and a Toyota on the pole for the Great American Race. The first time Toyota will lead the field around. He'll line up alongside Austin Cindric. The field has been given the one to go signal. They are doubled up. Here's a good look at that 3 car down inside the Solar Pavilion, inside Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone. You can go down and see that. Fan Zone pass for the weekend. That's where there's a lot of activity in the history of Daytona displayed for you to see, to feel, to experience here at the World Center of Racing.
I know. Yeah, that red was fucking bad. Remember Boston?
Race fans in the ride, the Dente 200 here for the NASCAR ARCA Menard Series as we get ready to go back to the green flag here. Leading the way off of turn number 2, some new faces at the front of the field for this restart, but Hoggenberg beginning to fade just a bit halfway out of that straightaway. One car running the lead on that, Scott Melton. Scott Melton going 3 wide up the middle with traction assistance from Wallace Allen. Melton goes in the lead to Melton's right shoulder as the Williams Wallace Toyota. Wallace Allen trying to reclaim
side, so Wallace to the outside lane. Nose to nose and side by side for the race lead, and through the top 10 cars or so, outside lane advantages. Here's Wallace to the front of the field.
Here comes Scott Melton going back to the point after a big shove, courtesy of Lawless Allen. Now it's Melton and Sawallick side by side.
As they continue to race wheel to wheel, that entire lead track. He's going to propel himself towards the top of the leaderboard.
It's a good show from his in the second spot. Milton now drop kicked all the way back to a side-by-side battle for third.
Side by side for Melton, who was leading this race a lap ago. Back to the side by side race for third. Top two trying to break away. Williams Wallace, the race leader, is ahead of the customer second.
One car now starting to move his way forward once again is LeVar Scott. He is first in line on the outside. He goes around Scott Melton for third. Scott on second. He's side by side with Lewis.
Well, they race side by side and come back to the line. He'll be able
Yes, he has been transferred to a local medical facility. We'll have more about it in the next couple of hours. We wish him nothing but the best as he goes for further evaluation. Meanwhile, the field continues to race hard in front of Kyle Rickey.
There's LeVar Scott in the outside lane, drafting help from Cole Raz, trying to get something organized topside and chase down Williams Wallace, who leads on the bottom.
LeVar Scott trying to mount a charge on that outside lane. They just simply don't have enough cars up there on the outside to move forward. It's still Sawallick and Lewis on the top two.
leaders off turn number 4 down the line. Here's LeVar Scott. Just a tad. That outside lane starting to come to life in one.
And here comes LeVar Scott to the outside of the racetrack. He'll challenge to the high line with drafting help from Cole.
Michigan Scott Melton may have gotten a little bit of a bump trap in the wrong spot in the middle of turn number 1. He tried to correct the race car, lost control of it, went down with the left front corner and hit the apron, did damage to the car, shot it back up the racetrack. Elio Castro Neves is nowhere to go. Castro Neves is Scott Melton is on the caution flag. Time today.
One car was out of line before they even got right on the yellow line getting into the corner. Watch that first, and then after that they were all trying to gather things back in before they got to the corner. There you see a couple of cars out of line. It's Melton's car that went below the line. His car already out of shape by the time they made the corner. He was loose getting in, and it did not take much for that car to go around, slip out the racetrack. Then Melton came out across the top the right rear and sent Castro Neves up into the outside safer barrier. Very similar to the look of the crash that Castro Neves had in the duel on Thursday night.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate too there for Scott Melton as he was having a very solid run, was up front there actually leading at one point before he got shuffled kind of a couple of rows back from the top spot. So just a bump trap gone wrong going into turn number 1. It was Lawless Allen that was shoving him all the way down the short chute and into the high bankings of turns number 1 and 2. And Lawless Allen was able to take evasive action, go up the banking and get away from Melton, who was out of control. So I don't think Allen has too much damage on his machine, but Melton and Castro Neves not so much.
They changed right side tires on the 82 of Castro Neves. Man, they have changed a ton of tires on that 82 on and off pit road. Lots of work for Castro Neves and that group. Now, he got caught in the right rear, but the car seems to be rolling okay, so it doesn't take a lot of contact with the speed, but somehow Castro Neves continues to make his way back out onto the track. But he is the last car
front of that machine at one point in time. The crew quickly, though, they got that piece of debris out and they took it out and they put the repairs that they needed on the front of that machine. So William Sawalich quick and impressively back to the top of the leaderboard.
Hendrick Motorsports plane landing at the airport you just saw a moment ago on the NASCAR TV screen. So much happening here. You can feel the excitement building into today's United Rentals 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and we've talked plenty about the Daytona 500, but as you get closer and closer to the Great American Race, the facility continues to build, the energy, the celebrities, all the VIPs show up and descend around NASCAR. And if you're new to NASCAR, see, why is Daytona so important? Because it was down on the beaches. If you look off to the left, if you're sitting here in the main venue in the grandstand area, all those hotels that adorn the beaches in Daytona, that's where it all started. They raced on the beach here. Eventually, it to be able to race. Bill France, he built this racetrack and in 1959 held the first Daytona 500 that was won by Lee Petty in a photo finish. NASCAR was born, and the Daytona International Speedway and the Daytona 500 became iconic almost overnight.
Yeah, it certainly did, and it stayed that way. Look at all the names that are in the Daytona 500. We have some top guns that are going to be dueling it out on Sunday here for the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. You got Denny Hamlin, a three-time Daytona 500 champion, Joey Logano, the defending Cup Series champion, William Byron, the defending Daytona 500 champion, in the Cup Series that will be battling it out here and trying to get their first or maybe another Daytona 500 victory.
Including in them, Shane Van Gisbergen, he won his first series and last summer was the summer before. He is full-time this year in the NASCAR Cup Series, and you've got drivers you mentioned earlier, Brad Keselowski, who has not won at Daytona in the Daytona 500. He's got a victory here in the summer race, but is yet to win the Great American Race. And how about two former champions in the field as we continue to watch the replays here on NASCAR TV of this latest incident with Scott Melton and Helio Castroneves. But Martin Truex Jr. and Jimmy Johnson are in the Daytona 500 tomorrow as well.
And also don't forget too, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the Junior Motorsports entry of Justin Allgaier. They will be competing in the Daytona 500 as well after Allgaier was the top open car in his duel, getting by J.J. Yeley in the late stages of that race. So going to be a very special day for Junior Motorsports with their first Cup entry in the NASCAR Cup Series, and doesn't get any bigger than the Daytona 500.
We're in the middle of the Ride the Dente 200 for the ARCA Menards Series. Continue to see how Helio Castroneves, I think, barely touched that outside safer barrier, but did take a pretty good bounce as he came off the banking and across down the apron. You know, so many talented drivers here in this division as well. We have touched on William Sawalich, who is doing triple duty this weekend, will be in the United Rentals 300, starting 5th in the number 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. But how about the driver that runs second? Lamar Scott from Carneys Point, New Jersey, comes from a racing family mostly on dirt, the New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. He had the opportunity to audition for this team at Rep Racing, and he didn't make it the first time around. He went back home. He polished up his game, both in dealing with media, making sure that he was sharp enough for back the Rep Racing Combine, and I am going to get the opportunity to race. And he earned his spot. They welcomed him back. He's finished in the top 5 before here at Daytona a couple of years ago. Had a great year last year in the series. Came home second in the points. And he's back full time. He got 6 stars. Is somebody to keep an eye on as he sits on the front row at the World Center of Racing.
And he's still looking for that first victory, too, of his young career. He got Rookie of the Year honors last year here in the NASCAR ARCA Menards Series, finishing second in the championship, as you mentioned, behind his teammate Andres Perez, who has moved on to the NASCAR